Hey everybody, Joe Joseph here for thedailysheeple.com, and this is your news shot. So to McClatchy we go. They say that climate change, well, there's a mysterious hole in this here global warming problem that they say we've had or not have or whatever. Snow-covered beaches and chilly iguanas? Yeah, all part of the hole. Said frigid iguanas in Florida. Snowball fights on North Carolina beaches. Recent winters have delivered a bitter chill, reinforcing attitudes among some that global warming is a fraud. But according to the scientific study published this month, the Southeast colder winter is part of an isolated trend linking to a more wavy pattern in the jet stream that crosses America. That dipping jet stream allows Arctic air to plunge into the Southeast. Scientists call this cold weather a hole in overall global warming, or a warming hole. This is great. He says, this is Jonathan Winter, an assistant professor of geography at Dartmouth University, and the principal investigator in this study said, what we're looking at is an anomaly. The Southeast is an exception to the rule. Let me stop there. Folks, we have to come to grips with the fact that the Earth is and always does go through changes. We do this. It's a cyclical type of thing. The sun goes through cycles. The Earth goes through cycles. All of the planets in our solar system goes through cycles. Heck, if you go and you look at stars, if you look at galaxies, if you look at things out there in the cosmos, everything is ordered. There's no randomness to this stuff. And the interesting thing is science, through the research taken part in at CERN, the Large Hadron Collider on the border of France and Switzerland, has proven this. Not to mention the fact that there is so much evidence to show that the universe as we know it has intelligence behind it. And so it would then be logical to posit that because there's these cycles, we're going to go through warming cycles, we're going to go through cooling cycles, we're going to go through cycles where the magnetic poles flip, we're going to go through cycles where the sun's magnetic poles flip, right? And all of these things have direct effects on temperature, snow accumulation, all this stuff. So it's stupid to blame all this on Man-Bear-Pig when Man-Bear-Pig has absolutely nothing to do with this. And I can go even further and say that even if they did, we're still trying to tackle this problem from the entirely wrong standpoint. And that standpoint is by people like Al Gore and the likes profiting handsomely on something that should be, if it's as critical as they say it is, a human effort of global proportions, of global participation that has nothing to do with copyright law or anything else like these trade agreements and these Paris Accords and all this stuff does. They use the cover of global warming to slide through. It's almost like how Congress puts riders on bills, right? So you have an appropriation bill that may have to do with the defense budget, but then you have hundreds of riders for bridges to nowhere and things like that. All pork. And that's exactly what gets thrown in with these other environmental bills. If this was such an issue like they say it would, then they would tackle it as strictly an environmental issue and they would keep everything else out of it. But that's not what happens. And that's how you can tell that what's going on is a complete and total sham. That and the fact that the scientific data supports more of a cyclical type of event than an actual global warming, greenhouse gas, BS bunkum type of theory. Now, it goes on to say that Winter and lead author Trevor Partridge, a Dartmouth graduate student, said this year's extreme cold could be the product of the warming hole. Quote, it's the same mechanism that causes this bitterly cold air to come down. Now, the southeast warming hole has been studied many times before, but the Dartmouth study in geophysical research letters nailed down some of its key features. The study concludes the trend started in the late 1950s, and it's concentrated in 6 states: Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Nearby states are also affected, such as East Texas, Florida, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Either because of coincidence or cooler climates, residents of these states tend to be relatively doubtful that global warming is happening and is largely caused by human activity, according to surveys compiled by Yale and George Mason universities, because it's not. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be good stewards of the environment. We most certainly should, and we most certainly have failed in that effort. Although I will tell you that if you're here in the United States and then you go over to, say, China or an emerging economy like Vietnam, you go over there and it's an entirely different ballgame. You'll be grossed out. You'll be horrified by some of the environmental conditions that are going on over there. So the fact that the United States, although really what kills us is the amount of tailpipes we have in this country. If we didn't have so many tailpipes, we wouldn't be on the radar. And really, tailpipes don't have much to do with it these days because of our emission standards being so rigorous. It's really not that much of an issue. Now go to China, especially in the height of summer, and take a look at the smog problem that they have there. And then tell me that the United States is the biggest contributor. It's BS. It's bunkum. Why do we have to pay the majority of the efforts to combat global warming? A complete and total hoax. Now, you want to call it a cyclical event? Absolutely. I will go with that. Should we fight as humanity to try and stave off some of that stuff? Yes. But chemtrails are not the solution to the problem. However, the billionaires out there certainly understand the risk, hence the reason why they're buying up all these missile silos. They're building all these bunkers in the Ozarks and other places. They're building seed vaults at breakneck speeds, all with the express, at least as far as I'm concerned, express outcome of having a safe place to weather a storm that could last decades. How else can you explain it? I don't think it has to do with a nuclear holocaust, because really, in the event of a nuclear holocaust, how are these people going to get to their bunkers in 45 minutes? They're just not going to be able to do it. So it has nothing to do with that. They're building these things for a slow, gradual onset of something that would give them time to, say, be in Silicon Valley and be able to get to New Zealand to their bunker, or be able to get to the Ozarks in their bunker. They obviously think that whatever's coming, they're going to have enough time to be able to get there. And these are things that we have to think about as that happens. But it's certainly not global warming as they're trying to sell it. And we're certainly not seeing these events. You know, it was Al Gore in An Inconvenient Truth. I think he said that basically we wouldn't have snow anymore in America come 2015. And look at us now. I mean, you're talking about record levels of snow. So this is crazy. Donald Trump tweeted this on December 28th, 2017 about global warming. He said, in the East, it could possibly be the coldest New Year's Eve on record. Perhaps we could use a little bit of that good old global warming that our country, but not other countries, was going to pay trillions of dollars to protect against. Bundle up. I absolutely and totally agree with him. You know, this is the difference from having a community organizer in the White House to having a CEO in the White House. A CEO is not going to necessarily make the best decision for you and your family with regards to, perhaps your personal well-being, but he's going to make a business decision about a corporation, which the United States is. So let's be real. If the United States is a corporation, then, and believe me, I'm not any fan of Donald Trump. However, I will tell you, compared to President Obama, he's making better, more rational decisions about things than Obama ever did. And that's not saying that, again, this guy is the answer to all our problems. But at the same time, with gridlock going on in Congress and this guy in the White House, at least, as it stands right now, we have stopped the bleeding, I guess you could say, for some of these crazy legislative maneuvers and crazy statutes to be put into place that just further erode our freedoms and our ability to live life the way that we want to live it, to pursue life, liberty, and happiness. And that's something that we should all be able to do. That's what we fought for. That's what the founding fathers are rolling over in their graves about. So these are things to consider, but certainly global warming is not the way, it's not happening the way they say it is. And we all need to come to grips with that and push back and not allow people to make money hand over fist on our backs over snake oil. I'm Joe Joseph. This was thedailysheeple.com's News Shot. Feel free to comment below. Visit our website at thedailysheeple.com. Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. And if you have any comments or suggestions, you want to email me, tdsjoe@comcast.net. Have a great day, everybody.